Calista Flockhart, Celine Dion, and Touched by an Angel on ET.
New information on the tragedy in Littleton. It could have been even deadlier. Still more bombs were found at Columbine High today. Investigators say the heavily armed students were out to blow up the school and probably had help.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting tonight from Littleton, Colorado.
Good evening from this Denver suburb under a pall of grief and now snow. New facts are coming to light tonight about the massacre back there beyond that stand of trees in Columbine High School. Here's some of the latest. This is the first look at the school in these newly released pictures, the first since the shooting 2 days ago that killed 15 people, including the 2 alleged attackers. These pictures are thought-provoking, rows of bikes and yellow crime scene ribbons and a poignant high school sign still there, wishing the band good luck. Search teams discovered 4 more explosive devices at the school today, 2 attached to the kitchen's big propane gas tanks. Investigators say there is growing suspicion that others may indeed have been involved with the 2 known shooters. CBS's Bill Whitaker begins our coverage of the aftermath at Littleton. Bill?
Dan, with the bodies now removed, the crime scene investigation was speeding up. But this afternoon, 2 more bombs were discovered in the basement. Now, the bomb squad is back in, and the investigation is on hold. 2 of the new bombs were found in the kitchen next to the cafeteria. A source close to the investigation tells CBS News now more than 50 bombs have been recovered, and not just simple ones. Some so sophisticated even the bomb squad hadn't seen their like before. Some so sensitive, the source says, it's amazing the boys didn't set them off accidentally. A letter written by both suspects found in a police search of Eric Harris's house reportedly says, "We do not blame anyone else for our actions. This is the way we want to go out." But police now think it's almost impossible the 2 built and transported so many bombs by themselves.
I don't know how 2 people could have brought these in here, and this is widening our net in this investigation.
The discovery of the new bombs has made investigators more cautious. It could be days before they complete their search of the library where 12 students died, including the 2 apparent killers. Emergency physician Dr. Christopher Colwell was one of the first people to enter the library right after the shooting stopped.
I guess the best way to describe it would be, for lack of a better word, war zone. There were ammunition clips, what appeared to be homemade explosive devices.
Colwell says the room was eerily quiet, the computers still on, books open on the desks, unfinished homework.
It appeared, as near as I could tell, that they had gone from desk to desk. It was almost as if they had been shot just right there as they were studying.
Attorney General Janet Reno came to Denver today. She met with local law enforcement and with victims and their families. Meanwhile, a heavy blanket of white snow didn't keep mourners away from the school, nor could it cover their pain. And this, CBS News has learned that the pistol and the rifle used in the assault have been traced to 2 local licensed dealers. Dan?
Bill Whitaker, thanks. The enormity here of the worst high school massacre in U.S. history hits home in sharp, crystal clarity when you see it 1 victim at a time. CBS's John Blackstone has the stories of 3 who died under fire with heroism and a legacy to leave.
In Littleton today, they are reflecting on lives ended and lives forever changed. In the parking lot at Columbine High, the car Rachel Scott drove to school Tuesday morning has become a shrine to her memory. She was 17 and dreamed of being an actress. In a family of 5 children, Rachel was the spark plug, says her father, Darrell.
You know, there's a gap that's never going to be filled. She was the bubbly part of my family.
He didn't make his bed before he went to school.
In the bedroom of his slain son, Isaiah, Michael Scholes remembers an 18-year-old looking to the future. His high school graduation was just 2 weeks away. But now his young life is frozen in high school souvenirs.
There was so much potential.
Oh, yes, a whole lot. I mean, I know he would have been one of the best. I could never be what my son could have been.
The Columbine girls basketball team remembers coach and teacher Dave Sanders as a hero. As he helped a crowd of students escape the shooters, he became a target.
He had been shot like twice, like just blood everywhere.
Cammie Held was in the classroom where Sanders lay wounded for 3 hours.
Just started saying, I can't breathe. Let me go, I can't make it.
Teacher Teresa Miller says 2 students knelt beside Dave Sanders to give him comfort as he was dying.
They took his wallet in which he carries hundreds of pictures of his kids and showed him the photographs and would ask Dave to tell me about who's this beautiful girl.
Connie Sanders is one of his daughters.
It's something that has got to make us feel at least a little better that he didn't die in vain, that he was saving other people's children. His, last words were, I'm not going to make it, instead of, feeling sorry for himself or anything like that. He said, tell my girls I love them.
Through all the pain here, there are many memories of love to provide some comfort. John Blackstone, CBS News, Littleton, Colorado.
What happened here at Littleton is a grotesque distortion of high school fears and rivalries involving cliques, the in-groups and out-groups that are a part of teen life in America. CBS's Bob McNamara is tracking that part of the story.
They are supposed to be life's best years, unforgettable fun and games. But high school is American society in microcosm, where your clothes are as defining as the clubs you join. And Columbine High School, where athletes are regarded a cut above, is typical of thousands of schools, where students divide into social classes and cliques. Tiffany Teifer dated Eric Harris, one of the 2 students accused of the Columbine killings.
Columbine is a very cliquey school. If you weren't accepted in the jock group or prep group, you're outcast.
If Eric Harris wasn't accepted by athletes or preppies, his clique was the small group of Columbine outsiders known as the Trenchcoat Mafia, a group that dabbled in the dark side of video games like Doom, and mocked those who treated them as outcasts by pointing their fingers like loaded guns.
They were pushed against lockers, called faggots. Just everybody looked at them like they didn't belong, didn't fit in.
While Tuesday's massacre brought some students together, it brought out other stories of kids who didn't fit in.
I know that I have lived in fear for my son's life in that school because of a particular jock.
Stephen Green says his son Jonathan was thrown to a gym floor and threatened with being set afire because he was Jewish.
They have ridiculed him. They have picked on him. When they pass him in a hallway, they'll push him.
For almost as long as there has been high school, there has been pressure to fit in. Only now, it seems, it can be deadly as well. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Littleton, Colorado.
Please mark this. A lot of new information is being shaken loose late in the day here, and CBS News will have it for you in a special edition of 48 Hours, live from Littleton tonight at 10, 9 Central Time here on CBS. Now, still to come on the CBS Evening News, Where Were the Grown-Ups? Eye on America looks at the role of adults in the school shooting tragedies. No more smoking on America's outdoor billboards, and tank killers in Kosovo. First pictures of the U.S. A-10 Warthogs in action.
My joints felt locked up. My hands, my knees were stiff. And then I tried Osteobiflex. It's a natural supplement with a special blend of glucosamine and chondroitin. It's different from pain relievers.
Osteobiflex actually repairs cartilage and lubricates joints over time.
Osteobiflex helped renew my life. It works for me.
There's only one Osteobiflex. Repair, rebuild, renew.
I never thought when my son moved away that I wouldn't see him for 3 years. It's just a tractor for my grandson. But this trip I wasn't going to miss.
He's sleeping.
This is for when he's older. My son had built his own life.
Hey, Dad.
He got a John Deere.
Of course.
But he still appreciates where he came from.
The LT-133 from John Deere. At under $2,000, it's possibly the best lawn tractor ever built. And it's the only one with a past as bright as its future.
Papa John's is only 14 years old.
But we've already been ranked higher in customer satisfaction than our 3 largest competitors.
3 years in a row.
Help us celebrate our big win.
Our success and our anniversary.
Get 2 large pizzas with 2 toppings for just $12. 2 large, 2 toppings, just $12.
Taste our pride.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
and our most important ingredient, better people.
You got that right.
Leaders of NATO are gathering in Washington tonight for a 50th anniversary summit and celebration that could be a turning point for the alliance. They are now, among other things, reassessing the fateful question of whether ground forces will be needed to finish the fight against ethnic cleansing in Kosovo. CBS's David Martin has the latest on the air war and the Allies' strategy.
Exclusive pictures of an American A-10 in action over Kosovo today. Dropping a stick of bombs, then climbing hard, dispensing flares to confuse heat-seeking missiles. Last night, cruise missiles hit one of Serb President Milosevic's homes. President Clinton says the U.S. was not out to kill him, just destroy one of the places he uses to direct the war.
And in this conflict, it would be wrong and unfair not to target the command and control operations.
One potential command and control target is the White Palace, where Milosevic met today with former Russian Premier Chernomyrdin and reportedly signaled his willingness to accept some kind of international presence in Kosovo.
If there is an offer for a genuine security force, that's the first time that Mr. Milosevic has ever done that, and that represents, I suppose, some step forward.
But just yesterday, Milosevic told CBS station KHOU he will not accept a force that looks anything like the NATO force standing by in Macedonia.
We are ready to accept a UN civilian mission. Of course, without representatives of the countries who participated aggression against our country.
Allied officials insist bombs alone can force Milosevic to meet their terms. Nevertheless, NATO has begun a reassessment of what it would take to invade Kosovo. Although Allied officials said again today it's not going to happen.
We are not sending in troops to fight their way in a ground force invasion, and that has never been on.
What does appear to be on is a force that would go into Kosovo as soon as airstrikes can put an end to organized resistance. It would not be an invasion, but it would be considerably more than the 28,000-man peacekeeping force NATO had originally planned on. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
The flight of refugees stopped for a while is on again from Kosovo into neighboring Balkan republics. Hundreds crossed into Albania and Macedonia today, with more stories of Serb atrocities in Kosovo. CBS's Jim Axelrod has one refugee story.
She is 22, ethnic Albanian, and too ashamed to show her face.
I am a girl from Kosovo, sheltered here in Macedonia. Like other girls, I experienced the torture of Serbian paramilitary forces.
One face among thousands, forced to flee with only her agony.
They told me, since you don't have money, we will take your clothes off. It continued for 20 minutes to rape me in the most inhuman way.
She arrived here in a crowded train car like this one, semi-conscious, no water, little air, a mind filled with brutal memories.
Those faces I see today and every day, with their scary eyes, big hands, they were like tigers and not human.
This account appears to be one chapter in a larger emerging story, what NATO officials call a systematic campaign of bitter humiliation carried out by Serbian paramilitary forces, a story human rights workers are just beginning to document.
The number of reports on sexual assaults is increasing.
Sandy Blythe's group, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, collects evidence for war crimes cases.
Even one report of such intolerable acts is unacceptable, but I have to say there are a lot more than one.
Dr. Alan Keller, here to study torture cases, says the shame felt by rape victims often translates into underreporting.
So it's sure if we're hearing about a few cases of rape in Kosovo, it may well only be the tip of the iceberg.
I feel very bad that I'm alive, but they kill you with other things that are worse than death.
This is one woman's story. The question now, how many more women have the same story to tell? Jim Axelrod, CBS News, Skopje.
At Fort Campbell, Kentucky today, a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter crashed on a training flight. 7 of the 11 crew members were killed, 4 others injured or in the hospital. In a moment here on CBS, the last of the cigarette billboards.
Murray. Did you hear? About Nick across the way?
Crime of his life.
Yeah, got sprayed. Didn't he just get sprayed? Yeah, took off his head, but didn't get the roots. Grew back stronger than ever. Whatever got him this time was different.
He had such strong roots. They were handsome roots.
And deep.
I didn't think anything could take old Nick. Hey, next time, it could be us.
Don't even think it.
Roundup kills even tough weeds down to the root. Roundup, no root, no weed, no problem.
I'm a dreamer, a wanderer, restless.
It's easy to take All Day's freshness with you with individually wrapped All Day's panty liners. A unique coring fresh weave help absorb moisture and odor. And they're wrapped for freshness wherever you go.
A thrill seeker.
A nomad.
Footloose.
For that fresh feeling anytime, anywhere. There's individually wrapped All Day's panty liners from Always. Feeling fresh is being free.
You're not taking that laxative. Look, the label says it may cause cramping.
All these laxatives have stimulants that may cause cramping. Phillips doesn't. It's stimulant-free.
What a rare purse.
She sure is. Phillips, effective relief without harsh stimulants.
We all have everyday needs. That's why One A Day has specialized blends of herbs, vitamins, and minerals for things like energy or less tension. Special formulas that are just what you need to feel your best.
8 pit bulls are executed at close range. We'll have that story. And items from a Portland landmark go on the auction block. Point 6 News at 6.
We have an update for you tonight on the tobacco and health front. It's the end of the trail for the Marlboro Man in this country. Nationwide, more than 3,000 highway advertising billboards for cigarettes are headed for the ash heap of history. CBS's Sandra Hughes shows you what is literally a sign of the changing times.
For more than a decade, the biggest man in Hollywood was not a movie star, but a cowboy. Now, as part of the $206 billion tobacco settlement, the Marlboro Man no longer towers over the Sunset Strip. This week in Hartford, another tobacco billboard bit the dust, and by the end of the week, every cigarette billboard in the country will be history.
The elimination of tobacco billboards is a very important step because it will eliminate the presence of the Marlboro cowboy and other images every place that kids turn.
Come to Marlboro country.
Since tobacco companies voluntarily agreed to stop TV and radio commercials in the 70s, outdoor advertising has been one of the most visible ways to attract new smokers. And while they're also banned from buses, airports, and cabs, there are now some 66 smoking websites, and companies can still use magazines, sponsor some events, and advertise in stores.
We will still be able to responsibly market our product effectively to adults who choose to smoke.
But what may trouble Big Tobacco is the big anti-smoking campaign replacing its billboards. Here on the Sunset Strip, a 60-foot replacement billboard is going up. It borrows the image of the old Marlboro Man, but with a new message about one of the lesser-known health consequences of smoking, impotence. The tobacco company will pay for the new billboard until its lease runs out at the end of the year.
Negative advertising is always more powerful in the beginning because we're not used to it.
But even with the changes in cigarette advertising, nationwide, teen smoking is at a 19-year high, prompting many to warn that the tobacco company's message is still getting out. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Hollywood.
On another health front, President Clinton says he favors preserving the last existing laboratory samples of smallpox virus so that vaccines can be made in case of a bioterrorism attack or a natural outbreak. The World Health Organization says smallpox has been eradicated from nature and that the laboratory samples are the threat.
For centuries, our kings were cursed.
The sedans had narrow handrails, making them hard to control in the corners. Eventually, it was learned, wider is better.
With its speed-sensitive steering technology, the Wide Track Grand Prix gives you precise control in the corners. Wider is better. The Wide Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Now, you can lease the Grand Prix GT sedan for just $269 a month. See your Pontiac dealer today.
You know, azaleas, rhododendrons, and evergreens are acid-loving plants. And there's one plant food you should use for really spectacular results. Miracid.
We look forward to spring every year just so we can see these colors. I use Miracid because it really strengthens these azaleas.
Miracid gives acid-loving plants just what they need to thrive.
The colors here are so brilliant and so alive.
They're bright and they just like pop out at you whenever you see them.
Acid-loving plants need Miracid.
Announcing a new way to see. Near and far, the way nature intended. Introducing the revolutionary AccuView bifocal contact lens with pupil-intelligent design. New AccuView bifocal. Visit your eye care professional or call us for more information.
Natural, real. I want to look the way I feel. I'm a Grecian man. Want it quick, hassle-free. A look that really looks like me. Grecian man. A Grecian man, no time for gray. A new generation, a whole new day.
How could it happen again? Kids, better armed, more daring, more dangerous than ever. Young Guns, a special 48 hours tonight.
Tonight's Eye on America looks at the questions people here in Colorado and all across America have been asking ever since Tuesday's massacre. They're the same questions that followed shooting rampages by school children in Kentucky and Mississippi. Why did they do it? And why couldn't someone stop them, head them off, help them, before it was too late? CBS's Wyatt Andrews reports.
There are links between Littleton and the school shootings that came before, and one of them is the motive of revenge, armed payback from kids labeled uncool. One assailant said so to the victims in Colorado.
Laughing, saying that it was all because people were mean to him last year.
Remember Luke Woodham, the shooter in Pearl, Mississippi? That's what he said, too.
People always picked on me. They always called me gay and stupid stuff like that.
There are other similarities to the school shootings, easy access to weapons, glorified notions of violence. But one more link between all of the horrors is the failure of adult supervision.
Our kids are living in a culture of their own that is hermetically sealed off from we adults.
John Devine has studied the notorious school shootings and says in almost every case, grown-ups weren't paying attention. In Kentucky, Mississippi, and now Colorado, some students knew of the escalating threat, while most adults, teachers, and parents did not.
There's this total difference between what we as adults know and what kids know.
Which is a polite way of asking, where were the parents? These were students who dressed in trench coats, were in a group that admired Hitler, set up websites with death threats, gathered an arsenal, and manufactured some 30 homemade bombs, apparently undetected or unchallenged by their parents. Experts in aggression believe this happens when parents don't know what their children are thinking.
Aggression has to do with what people think and what they feel and what they do. So the signs about thinking have to do with what kind of television does the kid watch? What are the doodling like on his school notebook? How much violent video game? How preoccupied is he with violence?
Somehow, all of these young gunmen had weapons and unchecked anger. Somehow, no grown-up saw it coming. In Washington, Wyatt Andrews for Eye on America.
We've told you much about the deaths of the young people here in Littleton. In a moment, a few words about their lives.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through.
Have you seen Transitions lenses lately? Indoors, the changing tint is clearer. Outdoors, they're the darkest Transitions lenses ever. For all-day comfort and convenience, Transitions lenses, right in any light.
I'll be seeing you.
Visit our website or call 1-877-4-TRANSITIONS.
Have you asked your doctor about Flonase yet?
Flonase nasal spray. Ask your doctor for a trial of Flonase.
What are you waiting for?
Call 1-800-FLONASE to learn more about Flonase nasal spray.
All you want is Flonase.
Fortunately for Millie, Dr. Espinoza was in the office early, while someone else was drafting the marketing plan to sell his home. At 11, he was making his rounds, instead of visiting his title company. At 1 p.m., he was giving Pam good news, instead of checking for disclosure documents. And by the time Dr. Espinoza wrote the day's last prescription, someone else was at his home meeting a prospective buyer. You've got a life. We let you live it. We're realtors. Real estate is our life.
I became interested in working in the brokerage industry when I was very young. I went to Harvard. I majored in economics. We had a last trade at 59 and 7/16. That was down 4 and 3/16 on the day. Throughout my life, I've had to work hard and had to focus to get where I am, and I'm going to bring that ethic to my job here at Schwab. Charles Schwab, Adam, 122998. Anytime you have a company that's been as successful as Schwab, obviously the employees are driving that, and I hope that I benefit Schwab in their growth and in their success, and I will.
Do you use the same corn pads your grandmother used? Well, there's a breakthrough. Band-Aid brand corn relief cushions. It relieves painful pressure and stays in place better.
Band-Aid brand cushions for feet, corn relief.
Heavy snow fell here today. More is expected tonight. As if spring itself has been cut short, like the lives cut short here in Littleton. And yet there are flowers, old gardens and stacks and heaps right over there. In memoriam, in remembrance. Before we leave you tonight, we want to tell you about some lives that never fully bloomed. There was Stephen Curnow and Kyle Velasquez, Daniel Rorbo, and Kelly Fleming. She wrote poetry and songs and short stories. John Tomlin liked driving a beat-up pickup off-road. On a trip to Mexico, he built homes for the poor, planned to join the U.S. Army. Lauren Townsend lived for volleyball and was a candidate for valedictorian. Rachel Scott loved photography and had the lead in the school play. Cassie Bernal was a born-again Christian, loved Mel Gibson movies. Corey DePuter's passions were golf, hunting, and fishing. Matthew Kechter lifted weights and played football. So did Isaiah Scholes. He dreamed of becoming a music executive. Daniel Mauser was a straight-A student. He ran cross-country and was on the debate team. Dave Sanders, the teacher and hero gunned down, leading students to safety. Husband, father, grandfather. His dying request, tell my girls I love them. And that's part of our world tonight. I'll be back right here with a special live edition of 48 Hours, all about the shooting, the investigation, and new information. 48 Hours, Young Guns, tonight at 10, 9 Central Time here on CBS. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting from Littleton, Colorado. I'll see you again soon on 48 Hours.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.
Give past